My name is Jerry Wartsky. I'm 94 years old and survivor of Auschwitz and the Dead Marches. Adolf Hitler invaded Poland when I was 9 years old. He murdered my parents and most of our family. I know more about Hitler than Kamala will ever know in 1,000 lifetimes. For her to accuse President Trump of being like Hitler is the worst thing I've ever heard in my 75 years living in the United States. I know President Trump, and he would never say this, and Kamala Harris knows this. She owes my parents and everybody else who was murdered by Hitler an apology for repeating this lie.
Why should the Jewish people support President Trump?
Because he's a mensch. I believe that President Trump is definitely going to be good for Israel because in everything that he's done up to now was in favor. He never double-crossed anyone, and he never showed any weakness. Watching President Trump pray for the hostages at the Ohel and spend time with him so meaningful. He has always stood with the Jewish people and the state of Israel.
Pretty hard to beat that, brother. Welcome. How we doing, brother? My name is Jim. That's my brother, John. We are the Baldini brothers.
Namaste.
And this, of course, is Beating the Matrix. Took me a minute to remember where we are, brother.
Our new name. The new name.
Yeah. Our new name,
James,
yeah.
Hey, James, he said Trump's a mensch. He's a super mensch.
Yeah, I know.
He's a super
No,
mensch.
he is. It's actually this has created a whole troubling scenario for Harris. This is the same party that has doing everything they can to stop the Israelis from defending themselves, and holding back 2,000-pound bombs, trying to convince doing everything they could to keep them from retaliating for the over 500 rockets being shot into Israel. I mean,
leaking the Israeli attack plan of Iran.
Yep. I mean,
the super secret.
They're doing everything they can to undermine Israel, and then they have the gall to claim that Trump is the Hitler-like character in this story.
Well, of course, this week coming up, you're going to have Madison Square Garden, where they constantly showing pictures of the 1930s Madison Square Garden Hitler movement, leaving out the small fact that the number one modern day equivalent of that, Planned Parenthood, of course, who was all for the eugenics of the 1930s. I think it was the American Birth Control Organization that it changed its name. Margaret Sanger and the creeps of the baby murdering changed their name in 1942 when things started going bad for Hitler over in Germany, and it looked bad, so they changed their name to Planned Parenthood. And that, of course, is the number one baby murdering, of course, is the sacrament of the Democratic Party today, and they're the number one donor in this. And it's the one issue, the only issue, the good old Kamala. Oh, I said it wrong again. It's Kamala, rhymes with communist. Not Kalmala, like rhymes with camel, or no, Kali, because she's Ibrahim, or Kamala, like because she looks like a camel. No. Kamala, because it rhymes with communist. Is it number one? The only question she'll answer directly is about baby murdering, and so they leave out the little factor, and so that and of course the socialists today is the Democrat Party. But James, I got a question for you. We call them Hitlers and socialists. What's the difference between them calling Trump and us Hitlers and socialists, and us calling them Hitlers and socialists? What's the difference, James? Do you know the answer to that question?
We're right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
They
I
are.
mean, yeah, but there's even
Why?
that
Tell us
clip
why. Tell us why,
there.
brother. Go
Well,
on.
well, I'll tell you. I'll just start off by saying there's a clip where a bunch of Christians are saying something, protesting in a rally at Kamala's one of Kamala's rallies, and she's like, you're at the wrong rally." To when these Christians are saying something against her, saying Jesus is Lord, Christ is King, right? That's what they're saying at these rallies, and they're getting thrown out. They're getting told they're in the wrong rally because Jesus is Lord. They're saying that they're anti-God. They're anti-God from not every Democrat, but
And
certainly,
anti-American.
but they're anti-God and they're anti-American. Kamala is anti-God, anti-American, especially when she is saying that you'd be better off. Um, she they'd be better off going off to the other rally, saying basically, you guys who are saying Jesus is Lord and Christ is King, you should be at the Trump rally. That's what she's saying when she says that, and shouldn't be at her rally. Why? Because she doesn't believe in God. She doesn't believe in Jesus is Lord and Christ is King, but she understands that Trump believes that Jesus is Lord and Christ is King. That's what she says in that statement, and so it's not surprising that because it was we can see her and her Democrat allies, they hate Israel, they hate God, they hate anybody connected to God, and they just want to see. They just want to would rather see a a complete destruction of Israel and not even believe in God. I mean, I don't know how more I can say it, brother.
Will the real Hitler please stand up? And it
You
is
know,
Kamala and Democrat Party. But there,
the
let me lay
people.
it down for you.
Yeah,
Lay down some smack for you and see if you can pick it up. Okay, historically, what is the Nazi Party? As we pointed out from the very beginning, when they started calling us Nazis 20 plus years ago, when it was Sussex County Patriot, right? Well, we're hardly the Nazis. You guys are the Nazis because the party of Nazi means National Socialist Party. And who's a
right.
socialist today? The Democrats, of course, right? And well, look at the historical parallels, right? What was the National Social? What was Hitler's party? Hitler rejected Christianity. He
Mm-hmm.
rejected God and replaced the Christian basis of society with the religion of National Socialism. What is socialism? It's the materialistic socialist worldview of power of an individual like of Hitler. He took it his own little quirkiness, their Führer principle, and Nazi white supremacy. It's its own quirky version of it, but still, it was based on the idea of political power being using businesses so that if as he's a famous socialist in his most famous quote on where he declares he's a socialist. Hitler says, why would I tell the Krupp company to do anything if they're doing everything we tell them to? We're only going to intervene in the Krupp company, which was making guns, if they don't do what we tell them to, right? Because socialism, of course, believes that you tell businesses what to do and you usurp them, just like the Democrat Party today did, and just like Joe Biden did to Facebook and all the social media when they first kicked Trump off, but then of course, use every kind of type of censorship they could to stop everything from we can't call it we have to call it the selection of 2020. Any information about that, any information about the COVID, any information that wasn't from the government, that wasn't approved from the government, became quote disinformation. So who's using the government? Who is using the government apparatus to suppress information? The Democrat Party. Who's using it to put out propaganda instead of actual truth and information? The Democrat Party. Who's making corporations and businesses to do what they did, bullying them, pressuring them to do what they did, and if they don't do it, the Democrat Party. Now, famously, in 1933, there was a huge movement for synchronization. And the synchronization movement in Nazi Germany was the Nazi Party declared that they sent all their minions around and they had to control everything from the canary breeders to every association that there was, from the canary breeders to whatever, the stamp collectors, right? Every association had to comply with Nazi world vision, a religion, which was, the Jews are bad, God is bad, that, God is dead, blah, 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 the Superman, the German supremacy, and all the rest of it, right? And so it was so bad that they went all the way down that. And for example, I think it was in 1933, famously in the German, they had a German like train service, right? And they had a board of directors, and they stormed in there, and they required them, you have to fire all the Jews, fire everybody who does not comply with with the Nazi doctrine, and so they fired everybody from the board, just like we have today DEI and all the morons which spouting DEI and requiring boards to do DEI, right? So who is the Nazi? Can the real Hitler please stand up? It's on the Democrat Party. But let's not stop there, because the fact of the matter is, when we say that they are Nazis, we are drawing the historical parallel to what happened in 1933, to how bad things got in 1933, and exactly the Democratic Party today. Just like in 1933, the Nazi Party, as you pointed out, eschewed and threw out God. And made sure that God was not part of the platform. Just like today, the Democrat Party has thrown out God, and they still haven't put him back, and they're still worshiping all other types of God, whether it's environment nonsense, whether it's transgender nonsense, whether it's the feminist nonsense and female chauvinist nonsense, whether it's destroying the family nonsense, whether it's the economic communism, pure communism that they're espousing. So when the real Nazi stands up, turns out it's not Donald J. Trump, it's good old Kamala and Obama and of course Miss Pelosi and of course Hillary Clinton. But the real reason why they keep saying it is not just projection. There's another reason, a deeper, darker reason, is because when they say it, right, nobody on the right, is going off and shot at, congressmen, Democratic congressmen. That hasn't happened. Nobody on the right has gone and try and get a Supreme Court justice and tie them up and strangle them and kill them because they were appointed by Trump and a Republican, and so they're quoted a Republican appointed Supreme Court justice. That's on the left again. Nobody's taking shots at a candidate for the president of the United States who's a Republican. Only Democrats have done it. What this is the dog whistle to her troops, to Antifa and all the whack jobs out there that are Democrats, all the Trump deranged syndrome sufferers out there, all the people they've been ginning up to hate, to kill, are now being let go. Listen, we got to stop this guy. We got to kill this guy. We got to assassinate this guy. Go, go, go. It's the dog whistle of all time. And she's so Knucklehead Mitt and Knucklehead Mike Johnson came out and said, "Oh, this isn't right. They shouldn't do that." What they should have done is that they should have called out Kamala and company and said, "You either denounce this now, or you are a conspirator in the attempted assassination of Donald J. Trump." That denounce it now. Make the Democrat Party denounce it, and everybody with a D behind their name. All these people running for Congress, denounce the attempted assassination of Trump. Denounce. Tell your followers to stand down. Tell your followers to stand down and to stop trying to murder Republicans just because you disagree with them. Otherwise, you're a Nazi, because you are a Nazi. That's what we should be saying to them, Mike Johnson. Not, this is really dangerous.
Yeah. No, this.
Right. Well, I'm gonna roll up my sleeves.
Well, but it also,
my jacket?
and so even if you're one of those people who dislike Trump, you're also putting at risk everybody at one of the rallies that he goes to. Every place he goes, you're putting every McDonald's he decides that he wants to serve fries at, you're putting them at risk now because now people are going to go after him. He's this makes him even
and James
more
after him and who else? It's not just Donald J. Trump. It's who else?
It's all of us.
It's all. That's why your T-shirts.
Yes.
You forgot to do the merch.
Yes.
We're all felons
I
now.
Oh yeah, all fellas know, and I do have the merch set up on the tabs, so I'll do that right now. Let's see, since you mentioned it, you can get our merch on the website here. You go to our website and check out the merch. Here's our Cuckoo Kamala. For those of you interested, there is welcome to Adolf Biden's Banana Republic. We have Free Trump. We're all felons now, which is a shirt I'm sporting, and both of us wore it last week's rally. Then there's I'm the Anomaly, and of course the standby favorite, the Thomas Jefferson quote, I prefer dangerous freedom over peaceful slavery. You can get all those by the link in the description and by going to our website, which is beatingthematrix.com. You can see it at the bottom of the screen. John, I want to talk to you about this video here. Oh, that's not it. Here it is. I don't know if you know of the Coates, Ta-Nehisi Coates, and his new book. You mentioned about having like the DEI branch of the corporation. You have to go bow before them when you do something or say something wrong. The reporter in this video here actually did have to do that after he gave Coates here a dress down for his treatment of Israel. I just want to play a bit of the clip here.
I want to dive into the Israel-Palestine section of the book. It's the largest section of the book. And I have to say, when I read the book, I imagine if I took your name out of it, took away the awards and the acclaim, took the cover off the book, the publishing house goes away. The content...
Just so we know, people I've talked to, I haven't read his stuff, but people I talked to say his stuff is unreadable. You can't read it. It's horrible writing and it's horrible work. It's just everything about it is nothing redeemable comes from it. But go ahead.
That section would not be out of place in the backpack of an extremist. And so then I found myself wondering, why does Ta-Nehisi Coates, who I've known for a long time, read his work for a long time, very talented, smart guy, leave out so much? Why leave out that Israel is surrounded by countries that want to eliminate it? Why leave out that Israel deals with terror groups that want to eliminate it? Why not detail anything of the first and the second intifada, the cafe bombings, the bus bombings, the little kids blown to bits? And is it because you just don't believe that Israel in any condition has a right to exist?
Well, I would say the perspective that you just outlined, there is no shortage of that perspective in American media. That's the first thing I would say.
Except everywhere. John, I don't know. Did you catch what the reporter was asking?
Why'd you leave out all the facts? Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Why'd you leave out all the side facts? This guy is going to.
This is you. Is there more than this? Do you want to? Because I have
one
more about Hitler.
We can play. I'll play a little bit more, and then you can talk.
Okay, go ahead. Do what you want to do. You think?
I am most concerned always with those who don't have a voice, with those who don't have the ability to talk. I have asked repeatedly in my interviews whether there is a single network, mainstream organization in America with a Palestinian American bureau chief or correspondent who actually has a voice to articulate their part of the world. I've been a reporter for 20 years. The reporters of those who believe more sympathetically about Israel and its right to exist don't have a problem getting their voice out. But what I saw in Palestine, what I saw on the West Bank, what I saw in Haifa in Israel, what I saw in the South Hebron Hills, those were the stories that I have not heard. And those were the stories that I was most occupied with. I wrote a 260-page book. It is not a treatise on the entirety of the conflict between the Palestinians and the Israelis.
But if you were to read this book, you would be left wondering, why does any of Israel exist? What a horrific place, committing horrific acts on a daily basis. So I think the question is central and key. If Israel has a right to exist, and if your answer is no, then I guess the question becomes, why do the Palestinians have a right to exist? Why do 20 different Muslim countries have a right to exist?
My answer is that no country in this world establishes its ability to exist through rights. Countries establish their ability to exist through force. I
think that's enough. I would probably get hit with a copyright issue on
All right,
it.
one more comment about Can the real Hitler please stand up? Okay, because this is crucial, and it's so, you got to talk about the author of Nature being so perfect, because this election, if anything, is shaping up exactly as 1980 all over again. 1980, once their landslide back again. Obama. So that's what it's shaping up to be, and it is perfect. Just like in 1980, it was even to the very end. Just like in the 1980s, it was we had huge inflation from the Democrats, Jimmy Carter mismanaging the economy. Just like the 1980s, internationally, you had the Iranians mocking us. And out of control and acting like maniacs that were the Democrat Party, good old Jimmy Carter, could not handle. And Ronnie Reagan rode in on his white stallion, released the hostages, and set things straight, right? Just like the 1980s. So it's like literally God writing the history book against you. And listen, you getting it yet? Don't mess with the Jews. Are you getting it yet? Not only that, but listen, you're in America. You have a right and responsibility. You got to do what I set you up for, right? You're my country. You're my guys now, right? But you gotta take care of the little state of Israel, right? So it's literally God saying, "Are you getting it, guys yet? Are you getting it, guys yet?" But let's let the real Hitler please stand up. So if Donald Trump is the real Hitler, what was Hitler's? Hitler had two things. One of them was the Führer principle, right? And the other thing was he had to purify the German race by getting the Jews, right? So he was an anti-Semite. He was a really bad anti-Semite. So when they call Donald J. Trump an anti-Semite, let's look at the facts. What are the facts? My daughter's a Jew. Grandkid's a Jew. Son-in-law's a Jew, right? The most successful president, in the Middle East. How can I say that? Number one, move the whatchamacallit, James?
Needle?
Where pardon me, who?
What was it?
Move the thing, the thing, the thing. Move the what am I thinking of? It's a thing to Jerusalem. He moved it. The big thing.
Move the
Not
embassy.
the cap. Move the embassy. Move the embassy to Jerusalem. All the presidents said they would do it. Only he did it, right?
Right.
Why? Well, because it was a status thing, and when it's literally America saying to Israel, "Okay, you're in charge of your country. You can do what you want." Not only that, it's saying, "Okay, it's your country," because it now has our U.S. embassy there. It's like the rubber. It's like a imprimatur, a stamp approved from the U.S. government. He did it. Not only that, he creates the Abrams Accord. Carter did get one country in Egypt to have peace with Israel. Trump gets 4 more, and if he had another term, he would have gotten racked up a whole much more. And more important than that was he got actually diplomatic ties between these, and more important than that, he got economic ties. So these countries are tied into Israel, and they're all going back and forth, Jews and Arabs, back and forth economically, making money for themselves and for each other, which is a huge thing, right? Because if you're making money with each other, you're a lot less likely to kill each other, right? Not only that, the number one thing he did was to make peace in the Middle East is drill, baby, drill in the U.S. of A. When we become energy independent, we don't care about foreign wars, so we can go tell them to screw off in the Middle East. And not only that, Russia and Iran only have one product, oil. So when America becomes independent, and when he vote him again for the next term, and America becomes energy dominant, super dominant of the world, all the prices for oil go down, and the Iranians no longer have money to buy missiles to kill Jews. The number one thing the wacky Iranians do is, after they build themselves palaces, the number one thing that they do, of course, with their money, is buy weapons to kill Jews and Americans, right?
Yep.
That's all they've been doing since the 1970s. That moron Obama gives them $150 billion. That fool, that mental defect, that little minded mental defect, this tiny little minded little man, gives them $150 billion. What do they do with that money? Well, they built themselves a palaces, and then they spent all the extra money they had on buying 3,000 more ballistic missiles to kill Jews with, because that's what they do. So not only that, he defunded the Palestinians so that they couldn't buy any money. Stopped giving them money so they couldn't buy any more money to kill Jews with, right? So with all that, what did Kamala do? What did Obama do? Well, those fools did everything the exact opposite of what Donald Trump did. Those fools gave the Iranians and the Palestinians and Hamas, and because you give the money to the Palestinians, it goes to Hamas and Hezbollah, tons and tons of money. And what do they do with all that money? Buy things to kill Jews with.
Don't forget the tunnels, John.
Huh?
Don't forget the tunnels. They turned the entire into a bunker, purposely setting up the people above them to be human shields, and then purposely knowing that they could then use that as a propaganda ploy against Israel when, after the October 7th attack, of course, Israel would respond. Any nation would respond and do something about it. And when they went in there, they cried, "Oh, you're killing citizens. You're killing people who are also helping to hold some of the hostages that are being there." I mean, that's what when they went to rescue that one family or one group of people, they found that they were being held by a doctor.
Kamala looked at the map though and determined that wasn't the case.
The great strategist that she is, we know she's on par with Rommel. I know, she's on par with Rommel with her ability to read a map.
Oh, you said Rommel. Now Donald Trump loves those Nazi the Nazis because he likes their generals. You can't say anything good about Rommel, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I was saying great strategist. I was going to say
not that Rommel tried to kill Hitler, and that's why he got whacked, right?
Yeah.
Not that any of those generals tried to blow Hitler up, right? Right. So if you were going to say in the modern world who was the most likely to be Hitler, and Hitler's number one thing was, of course, killing the Jews. Trumpy did was the worst Hitler that could possibly be. Matter of fact, he's the anti-Hitler. He's the exact opposite of Hitler, which just goes to show you what a bunch of lying crapheads the left is, and that this is what they want to ride on. This is their October surprise for the last 2 weeks. This is what they're basing the campaign on. So much for the joy. So much for the joy.
No, I think. Speaking of October surprise, I mentioned this to you earlier. Moving on to a different subject, I think Donald Trump has provided his own October surprise against the Democrats, and you and I were talking about this earlier. This is what I'm talking about is the Joe Rogan interview that Trump just recently did. And I have to say, I only watched about an hour, almost an hour or 2 hours, just over 2 hours of it. And my reaction is similar to a lot of other people's reaction, is that you see Trump talking to Rogan, and John, the man sat. First of all, I saw to jump around a little bit. Rogan did an 8-minute video with his buds after they were talking about the interview, and they were saying, and Rogan pointed out, he said Trump he didn't go to the bathroom when he got there, and he didn't stop during the interview, and he didn't go to the bathroom after. The man sat for 3 hours and talked, and he didn't stop at all. It's like he was a machine. It was like he couldn't, like people are trying to say that he doesn't have. That's what Rogan was saying. He's like, he's superhuman the way he just sat there, and the conversation varied from everything from nuclear energy, why it was good and the problems with it, the weighing the pros and cons of it, to the UFC fighters, and to one of the funny lines. they mentioned a boxer whose name I can't remember, a fighter that was going to be fighting in Madison Square Garden, and Rogan points out, he'll be there November 8th or November 9th or something like that, and Trumpy goes, hey, well, so it's after the election, so it could be I'll be there because I won and I'll be happy I'll be the next president, or if he doesn't win, then I'm probably gonna be home depressed. So
I'm not going.
I won't be able to go because I'll be home depressed. It was just, it was just humorous, and I'm listening to him, and I'm thinking, and everyone, and John, because if you say there, and when I say there's no way she could possibly sit for do an interview for like that, who do you think I'm talking about? I'm not talking about Hillary Clinton, although I don't think she could do it either. Of course, I'm talking about Kamala. There's no way she could sit for 3 hours. Trump sat there and did such a bang up job, did such a fantastic job of being just Trump. Everything that we've talked about why he's such a good candidate, what makes him attractive to the people, why he's a billionaire, but he's not a billionaire. At heart, he's really just a Queens guy who acts like who he is. That's all he is. And he's a businessman who wants to make deals and make stuff happen. And Rogan, who didn't want him on his show at all, I am convinced, I didn't say this, I am convinced that the only reason why he did was because Dana White, who's known him for 20 years and gave Rogan a big lift up and is good friends with him, Dana White said to him, you got to have him on there, and he was very influential. And the only reason why Dana White is such a Trump guy is because Trump did what Trump does for everybody. He did it for Jesse Jackson. He did it for a number of small causes that
Charlie Kirk.
People he lifted up. People he basically lifted up. He did it with Dana White because I guess the UFC at the very beginning couldn't find a place to do their shows, and Trump offers him his place not once, not twice, but 3 times. And they finally, after they got 3, because it seems like such a violent sport, and a lot of people, according to Trump and Rogan in this interview, this was part of the interview, by the way. Information I'm giving you came from this interview. Rogan, and him said that it seems so violent that Dana White couldn't get a place for them to do a show. Trump offers them his 3 times and basically helped sponsor and start the UFC. And that's why.
Why won't Rogan put him on then?
Well, Rogan wasn't going to put him on, because he. Listen. Rogan claimed in the interview, he said that it wasn't the right time. But we all know from just hearing,
it's the election. When is the right time? It's not now.
I know. I'm not gonna say that
when he
he's
retires.
squirmy on that. Yeah, I'm not gonna say, John. I'm not gonna say he wasn't being squirmy on it. I'm not really talking about listen, in a sense, who cares about what Rogan thinks, right? Because it's not that what Rogan thinks. The reason why I'm reporting on this is because Trump did such an amazing job, and that when Rogan put out a poll, Trump or Kamala, Trump won it 94%.
So it should be safe for him to jump on the bandwagon now.
It should be. It should be safe. No, I agree. Listen, say whatever you want about Rogan.
I'm not a fan anymore. I used to be a fan
I'm
of
not
Fear
a fan.
Factor. I'm not a fan because if this idiot doesn't jump on and endorse him now, listen, he was canceled not once, but twice. Once for the N-word, right? And then once for all the horse medicine stuff, right? But it wasn't, Vectomine. It's not a horse medicine. It's Vectomine. Because so they censored and tried to shut him up. If he doesn't get it now, that this is the end. If these creeps win.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you, brother. You're 100% right. Again, it's not about Rogan. To me, it was all about Trump sat there for 3 hours and held the conversation. He didn't stutter. He weaved a lot. He weaved a lot.
He did the weave.
He stood his ground for 3 hours, nonstop. It's not like they stopped it, and I'm thinking throughout the entire thing, Kamala can't do it. And then in that minute that video I watched after they were talking, one of the conversation pieces that they had about the interviews, what about Kamala? And he's like, she's welcome to come on. And the other people who were on the video with him are like, it won't be for 3 hours, that's for sure. You'll be lucky, he's and Rogan's like, oh, we'll do an hour. They're like, you won't get even 20 minutes from
Why
him.
won't they do 3 hours, huh? If you're being fair, make her do 3 hours like he did.
He wants to do the impression was he would do 3 hours. But
Make her do
the
3
idea,
hours.
everyone
Let's find
else
out
was
who the
saying you'll
real
never
Kamala
get 3 hours. Yeah, you'll never get 3 hours. You never get an hour. You'll be lucky you get 20 minutes. But the way he described the way Trump was going on, his handlers or whoever his people are were trying to get Trump to leave because he had to go to a rally. And he's like, no, this is more important. Trump willingly stayed on being questioned, talking, and going on with Rogan because he wanted to have this interaction. Because, again, he's a showman. He's instinctively knowing he's doing well. And so what does he do? He keeps on going. He's the guy who you want because he's so intentionally smart when it comes to these kinds of things. He did a great job, John. I mean, it was better than Gutfeld. I watched Gutfeld. He did amazing in Gutfeld. But he did, let me put it was a manly interview he did. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like when I think of this, I really understand what he meant in that Al Smith comment where he made, I never thought men could have periods until I met Tim Walz. And I'm thinking, that's it right there. Because it was just such a varied conversation. What's the one thing that Kamala will talk about? You said it, abortion.
Oh, you said the A word. You're not saying now we're getting
Sorry. You
gotta bleep that out now. You gotta go back and bleep that. Baby murdering. Remember, we're not allowed to say
she'll
the A
always
word.
talk about
the
that.
algorithm will
No
get us.
problem. She'll wax on eloquently or ineloquently, word salady about how that. But if you ask her position on Israel, she'll say what has been done has been done. It's going to be done, and it's going to make sure
We have
we'll
to
get
do it.
done.
It has to be done, and I'm going to do it. Well, we do it too soon. I've done it in the past. We'll do it again in the future, the same way we did it before.
We'll be unburdened by what's been in the past. And
after we get it done.
We can't get an answer from her unless we mention the baby killing, and then we get an answer. The whole thing with Trump
baby murdering. I think baby killing is also.
Sorry.
Baby murdering is not.
I'm just getting run over.
Not two words the algorithm is put together yet, right? Baby killing they have
left and right here. I'm getting run over left and right.
We have to change the name again. How many names we can keep coming up with?
I don't know. I come up with something different now. Maybe we'll change it after the election. Who knows?
Right. Well, let's come up with another one.
So and then I just think that he just was great. Great at doing this interview. All right, so there's some other news that we should probably mention. Are you familiar with this guy from England, Tommy Robinson? John, have you heard his story?
Yeah, totally.
Tommy Robinson. You had mentioned about earlier in the show about people getting the socialism and locking up. I think you mentioned like locking up political prisoners. Well, Tommy Robinson has been locked up.
Literally a political prisoner. Literally
a political prisoner. Yeah,
because he objected to the rape gangs. The Islamics going around and the English police, bobbies, doing nothing as they went around like various towns in England, picking up and raping young girls, and did nothing about it because it was in their culture. Because this is their culture. The ultimate guy.
He made a speech on the 25th. I guess the reason why he was locked up isn't the excuse that they're giving is he refused to give the police his PIN number on his phone at a checkpoint to investigate him, and so he refused to give the PIN number to his phone. So they locked him up, and he got bail, and then he had to go back to court, and now he's in jail. So they just I mean, the point is, first off, in our country, you got to have. You can't just search warrant, right? You need a search warrant to look at my phone.
Well, a couple things. Number one, that's one of the reasons why in our First Amendment it's freedom to address, your freedom of movement is also in the First Amendment, because that's what the English were doing back in the 1600s. They weren't allowing you to go into the city or go into the city with more than 5 people or go within 5 miles of a church. They were restricting access. They weren't letting you go to demonstrate to your whatever your capital or whatever it is. They were. That's one of the things that goes in the First Amendment. But of course,
right.
You have to commit a crime. You have to have due process. You secure your persons, places, and things. From the Fourth Amendment, right? Without there has to be probable cause that the crime is committed, meaning more likely than not that a crime is committed. Not, I didn't give you my PIN number. You're not.
Right.
So, but he's totally. He's just targeted as a political prisoner. He spent years in jail. They keep locking him up for bullcrap reasons after bullcrap reason, because he is bringing awareness to the idea that you have these Islamic rape gangs, which is what they are. Islamic men driving around, catching, looking for girls that are maybe by themselves, targeting them, grooming them, taking them, raping them, and the damn British bobbies are doing nothing about it because it's their culture, the ultimate evil DVI, and they allow the Sharia courts and all the rest of it too.
So, according to Gateway Pundit, he's being held. He's being held in the Daily Telegraph, I guess. So, he's being held until November 13th when his court case is. So, they actually have him, and you can see it here. He's refusing to provide his phone's PIN when officers stopped him at Folkestone border in July. Folkestone border. He receives bail on this charge and set to appear in Westminster Abbey. The alleged violation under the Terrorism Act does not imply any accusation of directly plotting an attack. It instead concerns police authority to inspect phones at ports for investigative purposes. You know what that tells me, John? Don't go to England. I mean, they think they can go into my phone.
England might be dead, James. England might be dead. Unless the English people rise up and throw these fools out. And it's happening in other places in Europe. England might be dead. And it's our future, too, if we don't, make America great again. They have to make
exactly
England
my point. That was exactly my point.
Again. They need mega. Mega. They need mega.
Make England, mega.
Great again.
Mega. Yeah, but if this is the course, but this is the course of what happens here if Kamala wins, because if they win in a week, and for us it's a week and 3 days or 2 days, because we're doing this Saturday night, but it'll be only 8 days left. But if they win in what would be your 8 days, it's gonna devolve into this. They've already gone after Trump. They've already locked up a bunch of January 6th protesters. Another one, I think, committed
PTA
suicide.
moms for objecting to transgender Catholics because they just want to pray and prevent poor young girls destroying their lives by baby murdering. And of course, anybody who's got an R behind their name is targeted by the IRS, is already been targeted by the IRS. So the weaponization of the government has to be killed. This evil federal government has to be killed. It has to be stopped. It's inevitable. People keep these morons and it's JD Vance and company say, "Oh, we need a better class of elites." Moron. No. We don't need a better class. We need a new class. We need a new elites, bunch of elites. No, moron. No, we don't need elites. We don't need aristocrat class like the England has, like the Europeans have with the aristocrats. We don't need an American aristocrats. No, moron. This is a perfect example. And when we get to it, The real reason I know the real reason why they hate Donald Trump so much, and I'll get to it when we get to the end. But the real reason underneath what drives Trump derangement syndrome? I actually have the answer to it. But go ahead.
So I would just also say, Trump has had several really good moments on the campaign trail these last few weeks. Gutfeld would have been one, but his Alfred E. Smith dinner roasting was funny. So is Gavin, the comedian Gavigan, Jim Gavigans, who's a renowned Democrat. We thought was Trump derangement, but apparently he's all on board with the Trump train, and even it's just it was a really good moment for Trump, and Rogan. It's just one after another.
What you gonna do? McDonald's.
I am, but I want to show. You had asked me to show this clip of Obama. Here we go.
You think Donald Trump can do that?
Back here.
And put them back together again. Now imagine that.
Further.
You think Donald Trump can do that? Do you think Donald Trump's ever changed a tire in his life? Huh. If he gets a flat tire, he calls Jeeves. Jeeves, change that tire.
So, brother, I know you had wanted to mention something about this particular video. So I'll let you comment first.
What is it? Why would you want to say?
Oh, what I want to say is probably the same thing you want to say about when has he ever changed a tire?
Well, exactly. What about the changing the diapers too? And then you missed a. Are you going to do that too, or no?
I couldn't find the diapers.
All right. So Obama goes in there and he mocks because he's so cool. He's so cool. When is the Democrat Party going to get a real black guy? Because let's face it, I'm blacker than that guy. You're blacker than that guy. That guy
they had him.
Such a fraud.
Jesse Jackson, John.
And they wouldn't put him up,
Jackson,
would they? Right.
Jesse Jackson,
right.
and who was supported by Donald J. Trump, by the way.
Right. For his run for presidency, and should have been at least vice president because he earned the spot with a number of delegates. He still had more delegates vote for him than Kamala.
Yes.
Why do they keep getting these fake black people? Kamala's not black. She's at most 6% black, maybe 3%, or possibly 0%, according to her father, who would be where the black end of it would come from. Who says he was a Jamaican slave owners. They were Jamaican slave owners, and they had Indians on that side of the family. Who was Kamala? Kamala is an Indian, and who was her mother? Her mother was a Brahim, and who were the Brahims? They were the original Nazis. They were the worst people on the planet. That's where you get the swastika from. They were the Brahims. And so in India, they don't care. Kamala is the perfect Brahim. Lazy and arrogant, right? And they don't care at all in India about the poor people. What do they do with the poor people? They put them in a caste and they kick them to the sewer, right? That's how, beautiful, wonderful Mother Teresa made her bones to be a saint. She would go around picking up the poor people. In India, they don't care about poor people. They throw them in the gutter. They don't care. They don't have a Social Security like we have. We have Social Security so that when a man dies, his wife gets his Social Security too. So that the widow of somebody with Social Security gets both of them. In India, what did they used to do with grandma? Well, after they got done burning up grandpa, they took grandma and they threw her under the pyre. They don't have Social Security. They didn't have a social that's only from the West. She is the perfect Brahim, lazy and arrogant, and that's why Obama, that creep, selected her to run for president this time, and that's why he selected her to be vice president under Joe. She was supposed to be this. They just couldn't get rid of Joe until they had to threaten him, with a couple of kneecappers. So she is the perfect follow-on from Obama. When is the Democratic Party going to get some actual black people, American black people, not people raised in Canada like Kamala, not people raised in Indonesia like good old Obama. When are they going to get real Americans? Not people like I love this. See, he's talking about Donald Trump. Changing tires. When's the last time he ever changed a tire? Somebody said, I was like, I dare you. Go show me how you change a tire right now. I dare you, because you can't do it, can you? Because he went to elite schools in Hawaii. He went to elite schools in Indonesia when his stepdad was an executive in that company. His mother was a freaking a professor. He went to elite schools in America and Columbia. He went to elite law school, Harvard. Never worked a damn day in his entire life of actual labor. He shows up and he rolls up his sleeves like he's Jim Jeffords, right? Whatever his name, like he doesn't have a like he's Mr. People. He's one of the people. Where does he live now? He never lived in the hood. Where does he live now? He lived on the elite side of Chicago, and he lives now in Martha's Vineyard, right, with the rich. And yet he talks about the brothers. Fake black guy. He's not black. And let's just be clear. I'm not a racist because I hate his Kenyan side. I love people from Kenya, right? His Kenyan side is just a colonialism. I could deal with that, right? It's just anti-Christian. It's anti-English. I'm part anti-English. I'm part anti-colonialism. His father, I can deal with that. It's his white leftist nutjob commie mom from Kansas, craphead, that I can't stand about Obama. And that's who he is. He's just a bitch like his mom, right? A commie bitch like his commie bitch mom. And so he's in a sense, Kamala is the perfect successor to the legacy of Obama. And here's the secret. Here's the secret of why they so hate Trump with all that elitism of the aristocrat class. Guess what? They suck. They're stupid. They're morons. They can't do crap. So Donald Trump, just like this, I make this point. You can go grab up any American, right? You'll be likely to catch a Jim in your net, or me, or anyone of my buddies, or anyone of our friends, and they will do a better job running this country and running the world than every single one of these Brahim aristocrats that are down there now doing it. And that's why they hate Trump, because Trump is better in international relations than them. And he didn't go to spend 20 or 40 years in the State Department learning from the University of Columbia about Metternich and the 1812 Congress, right? He didn't learn all that stuff, but he's better at doing international relations than any of them, right? Peace broke out, no foreign wars, NATO coming up with money because Putin was going to go off, peace in Ukraine, Vlad contained, North Korea was reaching out to, no more missiles being shot over there. Remember, my button is bigger than your button, and it actually works, right? Remember those comments? Right?
Yeah, no, that was in Rogan too.
Right.
They were talking about that in Rogan.
Right. He was better at that, international relations. He was better at domestic relations, right? He was better at politics. He literally stole the Democrat Party from the Democrats and made it the Republican Party, right? He was better at politics than they are. He's better at economics than they are. He's better at deal making. Oh, we have 16 so-called Nobel Prize. No, morons. There's no such thing as a. That's a fake prize that they made up. There's a prize because it's not a real science. It's not a science, right? It's physics is a science. Chemistry is a science, right? Nobel Prize for economics, not a thing. Okay, it's fake. It's made up. Look at Paul Krugman. Paul Krugman is a creep and was in charge of Enron. He gave us Enron. Why is anybody listening to that fool? Right? Don't listen to these fools. So he's better economist, and he was right about the tariffs. That's why the tariffs are there, and he's right about the American economy. Why are we selling out the American middle class and sending all our jobs over to these crap countries that are only going to use it so that they industrialize to make weapons to kill Americans, right? No, we don't need those other countries. We're going to put tariffs in there. He's going to put tariffs in there. He's going to reshore the jobs, reshore corporations into America so that the middle class has jobs. They will have money in their pocket. Again, just like him and JFK were the only two presidents in our lifetime to put money in the middle class that made the middle class stronger and made the class bigger and wider because he knows the secret of America, which is the business of America is business. Thank you, Calvin Coolidge. And that's why they hate him, because he is competent and they are not. They are just lazy Brahims. That's why they hate Donald Trump. He's better than they are because he's an American, and any American is better than these craphead fake Americans that want to lord it all over us and tell us how to live our lives. They ain't Americans. We got to bring back exiling creeps like this. Exile them. Get them out.
Ostracism. Anyway, brother. So we're at closing on the end of the show. I did want to mention something else about the Rogan show is what you just brought up, which he talked about getting rid of the income tax. He floated the idea and replacing it with the tariffs, which is the way it was originally.
Why is that so important?
Why is what important?
To getting rid of the income tax.
Well, because the income tax is it's an amendment, but he had talked about something you mentioned, that it's the way the system was before, and if you get rid of the income tax, the money then is coming from tariffs, and the tariffs are then forcing countries outside of other countries to conform to what we want, and to have money coming in that'll bolster the economy of our country by them wanting to have companies here instead of having them overseas. It's actually, we already do this with the space program. A lot of people don't realize this, but the U.S. space program, if you want to be able to fly, to use U.S. technology when it comes to rockets or anything like that, unless you're the Chinese and steal the technology from the Clintons and from.
No, that was given there, James. That was given.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, given. I apologize.
Right,
You're right.
Remember,
but
that idiot in charge of the Department of Energy, right? It was the sycophant, the Obama sycophant, Bill Richards. Yeah. Richardson, right?
Yeah,
it was governor. That fool gave it to them. He was in charge of the Department of Energy. Just gave it to them.
Yes. So, but it's the reason why Musk started SpaceX here. It's the reason why Virgin Atlantic came over here. It's the reason why all of them are doing it here in the United States instead of other places, is because in order to use, or to have some kind of a launch site or any type of, connection here, you must be a U.S. company. You must be a U.S.-based company. That's why SpaceX is U.S.-based, because you get all those benefits from it.
Well, I would say, well, go ahead. You make your point, but I'm glad you brought that up. I want to make a point about that.
That's my point. My point is you have that because there's I can't remember the act. The act requires you to be a U.S.-based company. So go ahead.
Here's my point about this, and I'm glad you brought it up, because this week, or like last week, the most amazing thing happened. Elon Musk caught a big effing rocket out of the sky. This thing is the size of an atlas. It's the size of an atlas rocket that we built to go to the moon, right? He caught it out of the sky with big giant chopsticks, right? He knew he could do it because he did the fourth one that they had to drop in the ocean. He was half a centimeter off, right? Now, this is the most amazing. Our Ballistic Patriot brother number 3 makes a point that was we just saw it's the equivalent of, for our generation, of a man stepping on the moon, because that's an engineering feat that's impossible, right? Now it is absolutely amazing what Elon's done with 500 engineers versus what NASA has not done for 50,000. So NASA it's going to make 5 of these giant Atlas-sized rockets over the course of 2 decades, Their plan was to do this to get to this moon. Never going to happen by NASA, right? They spent untold billions. They have 50,000 people. They started with all of the parts and the rocket motors from the space shows because they cannibalized them, and they've shot up one. one, right? And Elon in 1 year has shot up his fifth, and he just caught the booster part of it with two giant ships. Now, the thing that is absolutely freaking amazing is this. I read everything. I was reading this survey. No, it's not a survey. It's a technical paper on. It's an update on one of the. It's not the Aero Ballistic Range Association that our father was a part of, but it's the astronaut version of that. Right. It's now they're having a big convention. They're having their SHOT Show / convention over in Europe. Right. And they're talking about all of this, and they say something that made me go. That really it God smacked me. Right. It God smacked me. And so I'm reading this, and all they're talking about back and forth. So this is a big convention of all these astronauts and these space of things in England, in Europe. And so in Europe, they blew up. Unfortunately, two of the rockets blew up because it's hard to make rockets, right? Not even Elon just jumped into making the 5 rockets. He started with a little rocket, then he made it to a medium-sized rocket, and that medium-sized rocket in 1 year has put up more than the so-called Super Soviet Soyuz program. Assholes, thinking how great the Soviets are, right? Elon did that in 1 whole year. Anyway, in Europe, they blew up 2 of these rockets on the pad, so it's hard to do. It's a very hard thing to do. Is make a rocket, and so all of these guys, all these so Elon and SpaceX doesn't even have a booth in this convention in their SHOT Show, not even a booth. Because they're, of course, busy building rockets there in the convention. So anyway, they're all back and forth going, and they're saying this. It's over. The space race is over. We can't keep up with the Americans. We can't keep up with the Americans. That's the way it's supposed to fucking be, okay? That's what freedom means. That's why Elon is here, and that's what you can do when you get out of his way and all the way of the American people. To tie this all to circle back and to wrap all this around, what Trump is doing, because these morons are too stupid, is he's killed. The number one thing, the number one enemy the American people has now is the federal freaking government, right? That does nothing but tie us down. As Elon says, we're like Gulliver. The American people are like Gulliver, tied down by a bunch of little Putians. And that's who these little pricks are. They're little Putians. Jack Smith and company are little dicks running around telling people how to live their lives, right? And they're a fucking bunch of morons because they're killing the goose that laid the golden egg, right? And so what should be, what America is we can't keep up with the Americans because we're free. Your life is nothing but a conversation with God. God's put dreams in your heart. Your job is to take the step of faith, believe in God, and to walk forward, into your destiny, into the things that He's put into your heart. Right? That's why the business of America is business. Because as Calvin Coolidge says, when he killed the government back then, the reason why he did it was because it gives him more room to maneuver. That's the secret of America. The business of America is business because freedom is the business of America. And when you're free like Elon, nobody in the world can keep up because we are free. We can't keep up with the Americans. That's America. That's why Elon's on his side, and that's why Donald Trump is going to win because God's not done with us yet. He has a future for us. He's got way more things to do with the American people. Now, interestingly enough, Elon says, we got to get off the planet. We got to be multi-planetary. He says there's probably millions of civilizations out there, and there's probably millions and millions and millions of one planet civilizations. And here it is. Here it is. They probably travel and they find lots of single worlds with dead civilizations on it, right? And that could happen here. He says my rocket sat on the the ground for 2 months. This rocket that he just caught sat on the ground for 2 months. 2 months while he got the paperwork to get it approved. He goes. They wanted to pay me $150,000 for the fact that I had standing water there. He pointed to the Gulf. He said, "What about all that water?" Right? He goes, "How is it faster for me to make a giant effing rocket than it takes for the paper to go from one bureaucratic desk in the government to another bureaucratic desk? It takes 2 months for that. I can build rockets faster than that."
You've just defined why he is supporting Trump.
Right. And so he goes, "How sad would it be that the aliens got here, that they see us a dead civilization because we never got off? But they go, look, there goes the rocket. There goes a giant rocket. What happened to them?" And they get their archivists, and they get their historians, and the alien historians, and the alien archivists, and the archaeologists. They go look, and they go, "Oh, this is what killed America. This is what killed the human race. Paperwork." Fuck you, Washington.
Bureaucrats.
And what Donald Trump is doing is real simple. If you kill the income tax, you kill the fuel that feeds the beast. America conquered the continent with a tariff and gold standard. It's time to bring it back so we can conquer the world and then conquer the universe.
John, do you want to talk about?
Thank you, Donald Trump.
Do you want to talk about Vegano before we?
Oh yeah. Right. The great, wonderful saga of Vegano. For all the fake Christians out there who won't get behind Donald Trump, for all the fake Christians out there who won't take a stand, and because basically the devil is running this world right now, and the Democrat Party, Vegano, of course, stands up, and he's at his right now. He's in a dispute with Francis, and
Bishop Vegano, right?
Bishop Vegano, right, is a dispute. So Francis decides to excommunicate Archbishop Vegano, and he's so smart he won't be found, so they can't serve him papers because there's a bureaucracy of the Catholic Church is even greater than the bureaucracy of America, right? The federal government. So they can't find him, so they can't serve him with the papers. But Vegano sends him back a bull. He pulls out a bull from 1500s and saying, "Well, you're not the Pope because you didn't go through succession the right way, so I can call you an apostate." Right? So this week, Vegano came out and said, "Oh yeah, by the way, if you don't endorse Donald J. Trump as president of the United States, you're not a Christian, you're not a Catholic, because literally Kamala Harris is listening to the devil," right? And so he just put it out there. Just like Ronald Reagan destroyed the evil empire and Soviet Union like a bell by spreading that crack. They are an evil empire. Vegano is singing, is doing the same thing, and I hope this crack breaks the evil party of the Democrat Party, because that's what they are. They are in thrall to the devil and the evil, pure evil, in their worship of nature, in their worship of baby murdering, in their worship of money and power, just for money and power's sake. They are the party of evil. And Vegano came out and endorsed Donald J. Trump this week. So if he doesn't win Joe Rogan, that's okay, because we got Vegano, we got Elon, we got RFK, we got Tulsi, we got Mike Tyson, and of course, we got Mel Gibson. Braveheart's on our side. That's right. Right.
Braveheart and Iron Mike.
So who wins? Mark Hamill and his stupid little lightsaber, or the 6-foot Braveheart? I'm taking Braveheart, dude.
Yeah. So, all right. So, since the end of the show, I decided I wanted to get some memes together from Trump's latest trip to McDonald's. So, here we are, brother. This
is the greatest president we've ever had. It's unbelievable.
So, here's his Happy Meal, McDonald's. Let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger on the screen so we can see it.
That's great. That's awesome.
McTriggered.
Oh, well, that's so true.
McWinning. Big MAGA. There's Joe, good old Joe getting the ice cream cone. Trump brings back the dollar menu and fixes ice cream machines. There's McDonald's and Burger King. See who's the Burger King crowd unhappy.
Where's the joy? Where's the joy?
There's the joy. McWinning.
Oh, that's awesome.
Trump Vance, I'm loving it. Spirit of Halloween, Employee of the Month.
Employee of the month is awesome.
Make America great again.
That's awesome.
I want to speak to the manager. The manager. The bonus means at Kamala's 60th birthday. There's Trump and her alcohol, him and his fries.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I think the greatest one though is this one here. Him with the red paint covering over the Mick and making it just Donald's.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
I love them all. I can't say that any of them are bad. They're all great.
The election's
They're all
over,
good.
but we should talk about that next week, right?
What's that?
The election next week. We didn't talk about the election this week at all, really. But next week we'll do that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, we can give our endorsements next week, and
Yeah, we'll just do the
and-
elections next week, where it
Yeah,
stands and stuff.
yeah. No, we had a great show. This is a great show. Any final thoughts, my brother?
Am I going to say it, or are you going to say it?
Brother. It's all good.
Because God loves you.
Because God loves you. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you check out our merch. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you tell your friends about us. We are growing every day, and we're going to help make America great again. On that note, let's look back on one of America's more difficult times. And here's a video that we showcased about a month and a half ago, and here it is.
And I think those images that you're seeing, and they're seared into all of our minds, speak to this desperation. How desperate, how petrified does an individual have to be to risk everything and just try to physically crush yourself on to the outside of an airplane? Those images of people holding on to a U.S. Air Force carrier. I think that's something many Americans will, and people around the world will not be able to get out of their minds for quite some time.